The thoughts and opinions on Just Some Podcast are of the hosts and guests and do not represent the views of organizations that employ them or they volunteer for. They are also not responsible for spontaneous black holes or nuclear wars that may occur. You have been warned.
Welcome, everybody, to another fun-filled and exciting episode of Just Some Podcast. This is Tom.
Hey, this is Ben. Tom, man, how's it going, bud?
It's been an interesting week. I started doing another workout exercise regime. No, it is not CrossFit, so don't bring that up. Nothing against them. It's just not. But it did make me very aware the past couple of days of how out of shape I truly am. And
That does happen, yes.
Well, it happens, but most of us at some point are like, well, I could certainly jog 60 feet, but apparently that's trouble. So there you go. But I'm working on it, so that's a good thing. I am also super excited. Ben, do you want to tell everybody the big news?
That you saved a lot of money by switching to Geico?
I heard it's up to 15%.
That's what I hear, too. Not a sponsor, though, so, you know.
They owe us money now. Where's that gecko? I'm going to choke him.
No, so we have a guest on again tonight because this is the month of July, and we talked about we were going to do mental health awareness for the month of July, and so we have reached out to all kinds of people trying to get people on the show, and so I would like to welcome Jaimi to the show. Jaimi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you guys?
Well,
Pretty good.
so far pretty good.
That's good.
So, Jaimi, do you want to tell us about yourself and kind of fill us in on who you are?
Sure, I would love to. Well, I am a performer. I have been dancing for 15 years now. I just turned 20, so dancing since I was 5. And then got into musical theater when I was 13, and then got into film acting when I was about 16 or 17. And now I'm able to perform, and I also teach dance as my other job. And besides like what I do career-wise, I'm also a huge animal activist, a huge science nerd, a huge artist. An avid yogi, which is a person who does yoga. Love working out. I'm kind of always being productive and active, and I'm also a scuba diver. I love the ocean. So I'm just a very diverse person, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Ben, she mentioned one thing. Have you ever done yoga, Ben?
No, I have not.
I have not done it very often, but it is something I think that the next time you visit, we should go do a yoga class together, because I think Ben and I doing yoga would be hilarious.
Hey, I'm down for that.
See? Maybe we can get Jaimi to come up and visit too, and she could teach the class.
There you go. That would be great.
I already teach dance, so yoga is not really that far off.
I don't know if I could do dance. I don't know if a leotard would look that good on me. So maybe the sock warmers, and I'll do flash dance. I could do She's a Maniac like nobody's business. So,
Oh my gosh, I love it.
see? There you go. Ben shaking
love
his
it.
head. I think it would be fantastic. So, Jaimi, specifically, we're doing mental health, and I'm sure you heard Ben just say that. So let's talk a little bit, if you are okay with it. Well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll go into that in a second. So what we're going to do is Ben and I, let's do our social media, and then we can turn it over to Miss Jaimi, because from the sounds of how busy she is, it's going to be quite a list. So,
Yeah, I'll let you guys go first.
oh, thank you.
All right. Well, You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Just Some Podcast. Or you can find us on the web. We're at www.justsomepodcast.com. You can find us on Helium Radio. That's Helium Radio After Dark. That's their channel, too. We are there Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. You can also find us on Libsyn. We're at justsomepodcast.libsyn.com. And you can email us, admin at justsomepodcast.com. Tom, what else can they do to help out the show?
Well, first of all, they can tell all their friends and family about us. They can give us some ratings and reviews. We always look forward to hearing from everybody. They can go to our website and they can scroll to the bottom. There's an Amazon affiliate link. Click on that before they do any Amazon shopping, and all the proceeds go to the show, and we would really appreciate it. And it costs you nothing. Yeah, that's what they can do to help us out. Miss Jaimi, so social media or anything that you want to shout out, things specific you want to discuss?
Yeah, of course. So I am also on Instagram and Facebook. Those are the two main platforms that I use. And my name is spelled uniquely. So I'm going to spell it out just so people type it in right. But my name is spelled Jaimi. So there's no E in it. So you can find me on Facebook, my name. So Jaimi McPeek, which is JaimiMcPeek. And then my Instagram is JaimiXOXOXO. And those are the two main platforms that I use. And then I also have a platform for my movie, which I know that we're going to be talking about soon. And I don't know if I should give that a shout out now or a little bit later.
Sure. Let's give it out multiple times. Go ahead. Do it once.
Okay. Well, I'm directing and writing and starring in a movie called Flip of a Coin. So if you type in Flip of a Coin on Facebook, I have a whole page set up for that as well. And then I have my website, which is www.jaimimcpeek.com. And that's just my full name spelled out. So JaimiMcPeek. And that is how you can connect with me. And on my website, I have a little contact section where you can email me and check out my work and all that jazz.
Which is how we got hold of Jaimi. We got on her website and emailed her, and now she's on the show. So,
yeah.
But Jaimi, I do have a question about your Instagram. So why the 3 XOs, not just 2, not 4, why 3?
I made that Instagram when I was going into high school, and I don't know what I was thinking at the time. And I've kept it, and then I started getting a lot of followers because I started getting more into the performing arts. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to change it now because I don't want to confuse people. So I just kind of kept it now. So it's just staying that way.
I think it's good. Yeah, I mean, I was just curious.
Yeah.
It cracks me up, and I mean this in no bad way, because you are clearly ambitious and you got a lot of stuff going for her, but she's 20. She said when I was in high school. So I was like, oh, so 3 years ago. Like that, that's when, like, I'm an old man, Jaimi. So for me, high school, literally, it was 19 in front of the number. So it was a while ago. So that's why when she said that, I was like, oh my God, what have I done with my life? She's like writing movies and teaching dance. And I'm like, every once in a while I get with my friend and we bullshit for an hour and podcast. So like, that's what I'm doing. I've hit it. There you go. That's what I do.
I feel a lot older than I actually am, but
oh, just wait. One day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, my knee doesn't normally make that Rice Krispie noise when it moves, does it? So that's going to be super fun.
Well, I am a dancer, so it kind of already does.
Probably has her fair share of injuries associated with that.
No,
oh, yes.
Honestly, cheerleading and dance is got an extremely high rate of injury. And speaking of Instagram, that's like one of my favorite motivational type postings. I think I have it on my Instagram. It's a picture of a ballerina's foot, like all dressed up. It's in the shoe. It looks all pretty, but the foot right next to it shows her barefoot, and it's got, bandages, and her toes are broken, and it says nobody wants to see what it takes to succeed.
I've been on stage multiple times. I was just in a musical a couple months ago back in April, and I actually was opening night, and I had several solos in it, and I was doing this jump, and I actually broke my toe on stage and still continued to do the entire musical on a broken toe.
Wow.
So it just happens all the time.
See, I skinned my toe a couple days ago, and I thought, how am I going to put on socks to go to work? So, so see what I'm saying? Not quite the same.
I've realized that dancers do have very high pain tolerance.
You have to, I would think, especially
We have to, yeah.
just keep, the show must go on, I guess. So, wow.
Absolutely.
Brings a whole new meaning to break a leg.
Yeah.
Do you know the origin of that saying?
Honestly, I don't.
No, I don't either.
But now I want to.
Well, there's several theories, but the one that I was taught was that back in like the Shakespearean days, apparently you didn't really clap, you stomped, and you wanted to make the audience stomp so hard that they actually broke their leg.
Wow. All right.
That's one of the theories that I've heard.
See, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, that seems valid.
Yeah. So I just went with it.
No, I like it. And that's now my kid someday is going to be like, hey, Dad, why is it called break a leg? I'm like, well, let me tell you some wise words I heard one time. And I'm going to tell him that. So now that's it. That's in 57 countries now, Ben. People are going to go, oh, that's why. That's it right there.
Yeah. I just pulled it up before we got on, start to record, and we are 6 continents, 49 states, 57 countries. And that's just our podcast downloads. That's not counting where all Helium Radio reaches, which is another tens of thousands of people. So,
hold on. Jaimi, do you know anybody in Vermont? Because we got to get Vermont to get a download. I'm about to bribe a friend of mine to drive to Vermont and download something within the state just so we can get this shit over with.
Oh my gosh. I actually don't know anyone in Vermont. If I did, I would tell them to download it right now.
Yeah, bunch of maple.
I know some people in Virginia, not Vermont.
Maybe there's no people in Vermont, Tom.
That's very true.
Yeah, there's nothing but maple syrup trolls making their little rounds, plugging into trees. I know what you people are doing up there. If you're not going to download me, I'm going to talk shit all night long. So there you go, Vermont. That's how this works. All right. Start downloading me, or I'm going to live hell for Vermont if they don't start downloading us. I mean, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm asking for one. Can't someone from New Hampshire just cross the border? It's not that big of a deal. Somebody get to Vermont and download us so we can mark this off the list, because I don't feel right about going to Antarctica or the International Space Station until we get CONUS, like the continental United States. We got to get that under control. So
is Vermont the last one you have?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have
Oh my gosh, it's frustrating.
There are literally people in countries where they are probably using Google Translate just to listen to our show, which I also find highly that's cool. Somebody wants to listen to me so bad that they're translating this somehow. But somebody can't take time from eating their fucking pecan waffles and their maple syrup in Vermont to get off their ass and download this episode. I don't understand what's wrong with Vermont. Something is clearly amiss with that entire state. That's what I say.
Good. I'm glad you're fired up.
I have questions now.
Oh, please. What?
No,
what
I mean about Vermont.
Oh, see? That's how this works. Ben was questioning me, but now he sees. He sees what I'm doing. He gets it. No, that's right, Jaimi. As a matter of fact, yeah, Miss Jamie's on board. She knows what's up, Ben. And she knows Vermont needs to get their ass in gear.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
I think Vermont needs to hear it.
Yeah, I agree. I personally think everybody in the world needs to hear it, but we'll settle for Vermont first. That's our next goal, Miss Jaimi. I'm assuming you haven't ever heard the show. So after Vermont, we plan to take over Antarctica somehow, but we don't know how we're going to do that yet. And
little penguins can listen.
Well, I agree, but we got to get someone to download it. And from my understanding, bandwidth is pretty limited down there. So that's going to be a toughie. Also, so after we get all 7 continents, there's only one thing left, and that's the International Space Station. So we're still working on that too. So
that would be awesome.
Yeah, we got goals. So if you have any ideas, and you are obviously a bright lady, you just let us know. And we
Absolutely.
will. Yeah. So, Ben, stories we may have missed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep this train rolling, or otherwise I'm going to talk about Vermont with Jaimi the rest of the night. So let's just get this going.
So it is our Mental Health Awareness Month, so I'm trying to find stories related to mental health, as we have talked about. So, Tom, there's a new study out. You're not going to be a big fan of this. I want you to know. So this isn't one that's going to necessarily fire you up and piss you off as much as just, okay, well. So, Tom, there's a new study out of the University of Hong Kong that has found that giving up alcohol entirely may significantly boost your mental health. So the new study suggests that people, especially women who give up alcohol, can experience better mental health and reach levels of well-being almost on a par with those of lifelong abstainers.
Incorrect.
He was so quick with that too.
I don't even know if Ben's done with the story.
Incorrect.
Yeah, I don't even know if Ben is done with the story. Are you done, Ben?
The research team examined the association between alcohol drinking patterns and mental well-being in the cohort, and they compared their data to the National Epidemiologic, words are hard, survey on alcohol and related conditions, and they determined that those who were non-drinkers were able to show better mental health well-being.
Like that minute?
No, like total.
Go on. This is bullshit.
So when they
I can't even see Tom's face right now, but I can just imagine the look.
Oh, yeah. It's not good. So
So the researchers assessed mental well-being using a 100-point scale. When comparing the data from women who used to drink with data from female lifetime abstainers, the former had experienced an improvement in mental health that was on average 1.44 points greater than that of the lifetime abstainers. The results remained even after they adjusted for confounding factors, including socioeconomic status, BMI, and smoking status. So their recommendation, Tom, is to abstain from alcohol for good.
yeah. No, I don't think I mean, no, I'm not advocating anybody overindulge in alcohol, but
We proved how well that.
apparently these guys have, one, never heard our episode on alcohol intake, and two, they have never tried a Irish car bomb shot, because if they had, they would know that entire report is bullshit. I'm just saying.
No, I was going to say, clearly they have not heard our alcohol episode where we very effectively proved how much alcohol can affect your system. Jaimi,
Yeah, and how happy it can make you.
at the time, yeah. No, Jaimi, we decided that we would do an entire podcast as we got intoxicated throughout the entire show. And
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Picture the worst thing you could possibly picture and then double that. Pretty much how that happened.
Oh no.
It's all verbal, so you can't see the train wreck. You just have to listen to it in slow motion. That's pretty much what happened.
That's
She's
the
like,
story.
I don't know. I can't even legally drink it. So
I can't. I cannot.
way to go, Ben. Way to go.
And Tom, I thought that was kind of an interesting story anyway, especially considering the week that I had. I have been drinking a little bit this evening. Nothing major, just a little lemonade and honey jack. So
Actually, now I'm angry at you.
why?
I found this new vodka from Iceland, and cranberry and this stuff is fantastic. I could have been drinking that this whole time had I known that you were drinking.
I had one drink. Anyway,
How
Let's
the
get into our
hell did
episode
I
before-
become the responsible one? What is going
You're
on
not.
here?
You're never the responsible.
Then there's me here who's like, I'll just be fine with my water. We're good.
Yes, Jaimi is our verbal DD, so that's what's going to happen tonight. Thank you, Jaimi. All right, so we got the stories out of the way. So let's talk about let's talk about why we have Miss Jaimi on the show. What do you say, Ben?
I'm good with that. So, Jaimi, other than being actress and dancer and model and
Writer.
yogi and writer, why do we have you on the show?
Oh, are you guys asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want you to talk about your project. That's
All
that's his
right,
lead
well, Yes. All right. Well, I heard that that this month was, as we've said, Mental Health Month. And my film that I am co-writing, directing, and starring in is all about mental health, the Flip of a Coin film. And that's really why I'm here, is to talk about the film and to talk about why I'm doing it and what's the plan with it and how everyone can help. Flip of a Coin is basically about seeing the world through a person who does struggle with mental illness's eyes and being able to portray that story in a way that society doesn't normally see. So it's a very intense film, to say the least. And it's basically showing the two sides of a coin, hence the name, of how society views this person on a normal day versus how this person is viewing the day through, their eyes.
So, Jamie, which specific mental illness are we talking about? My understanding it's obsessive compulsive disorder. Is that correct?
Well, that's what I struggle with. As far as the film, I didn't really have any certain illness I wanted to target. I just more wanted to, I mean, yes, it is based off of me. So I guess that it is going to probably read more as OCD, but I don't want it to just be targeted at OCD. I want people, with anything and also people without any mental disorder to be able to relate to it and be able to appreciate it, understand it, and realize that it is a problem that we face and it is as real as a physical illness. And I want to kind of erase the stigma that's behind mental illness because I mean, I really haven't told anyone about my mental illness until about a month ago when I first announced that I was making this movie. And that's because I was so afraid of the stigma. I was so afraid of being looked at differently or not being cast in certain movies because of it or etc. And I want to really try to open people's eyes and try to get rid of that stigma that you should talk to people and you shouldn't be ashamed of it.
I think that sounds like a very interesting concept for a film. Like I don't know that there is. I mean, there's not been any other type of film that has kind of done that. It shows, like you said, kind of both sides of that coin. So I think that's definitely an interesting concept. And for those who do not suffer from mental health issues, I think it would be a good wake-up call for what somebody who is having mental health issues kind of experiences throughout their day.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. And I did research to make sure that nothing like that had been done before. And to my luck, nothing had been. So that's why I wanted to go with that. And I'm co-writing it. So I come up with all the ideas and exactly what I want. And my co-writer, her name is Haley. She's actually majored in film writing in college. So she's kind of translating all of my ideas to a script format. And that's where we are right now, as well as I'm also trying to, build the budget and find a perfect crew and start to think about locations and all that so I can really get the ball rolling. Because I don't want to just produce a half quality film. I really want this to be, full quality so I can get this out to as many people as possible and raise as much awareness as possible.
So, Jamie, I have a couple questions then. So let's talk about you for a minute so that we understand some of your point of view when you're talking about the movie. When did you start noticing like, hey, I look at things differently than those around me?
Yeah, it was kind of a scary process because I really didn't know what was quote unquote wrong with me. My mom started noticing signs when I was very, very young. I think 4 years old is when she started noticing signs that wasn't, again, quote unquote normal. I don't want to say normal, but that was not how regular 4 year olds acted. So from 4 to 6, basically, whenever I had to make a decision, it was like a major life or death thing. Like I would have breakdowns. I couldn't decide between things, and it would actually make me want to die at like 6 years old. I couldn't decide between something, and I would just completely break down. And then I would be in stores, and I would have to touch things a certain amount of time. It was always 4 times. I would always have to touch, I don't know, a stuffed animal or a piece of furniture 4 times, or else I couldn't move on from that section. So just little things kind of like that. And then when I started getting into school in first grade, actually, I would have breakdowns almost every single night, and I really didn't know why. I just knew that I felt really, I mean, I didn't know that I felt anxious at the time because I didn't really know what feeling anxious was. I just knew that I was always kind of on, hyper mode and feeling kind of trapped. And I didn't really know why I was thinking the way I was thinking because I would think about something, and then the obsessive part of OCD is when you can't let it go. And I couldn't let things go, and I didn't really understand why I couldn't let things go. So I would just break down all the time. So my mom actually thought that I was being bullied, and I assured her I'm not being bullied. And we started seeing a psychologist and started doing some therapy, and it wasn't helping at all. And at age 7 going on 8 is when we went to a psychiatrist and actually got tested, and I was diagnosed with OCD. And then as my brain matured, so did my thoughts. So I don't really have so much of the compulsive aspect as much anymore. It's more the obsessive and not being able to let things go and irrational thinking, intrusive thoughts. So as my brain developed, my thoughts developed too. So it started getting harder and harder growing up. It was really like, why am I thinking this? Why I don't want to think this. I can rationalize that this isn't reality, but at the same time, I'm thinking about it. And because of that, I actually became, and I've always been very advanced. I have an IQ of 161. So I've always been very advanced in my thinking. And I became suicidal at age 10 because of it. And
Wow.
yeah, really, really young. So it got really bad. I'm still a work in progress. I'm still, always trying to find new ways to cope with it. And that's 12, 13 age range is when I got into musical theater and got on stages and everything. And that was like my huge release where I really felt alive. And I started using performing as my coping mechanism and also a way to escape. And it's also something that I love to do. And that's how I started using my OCD to actually help my performing.
So you kind of got to where I was going to go with was, so you get diagnosed. What was the first lines of therapy, treatment, etc., that they started you with to try and help you deal with this condition?
I didn't really go to a lot of therapy really ever. But my mom's a registered nurse and she was never a big fan of therapy. And we tried therapy before I was diagnosed as well, and it wasn't helping at all, like in the slightest bit. So I was mostly age 8 was being put on medications that could possibly help. My mom was and is a huge support system for me. So she was helping me with coping mechanisms. And the thoughts are like any other kind of bully. The more that you listen to them and the more that you let them bother you, the more they are going to bother you. But if you ignore them and you try to stand up to them, then they're going to eventually go away. So, if I wanted to, for example, with my OCD, a lot of times I have to clarify things multiple times, but using just slightly different words just so I can get that clarification. And my mom would stop answering me after I got it clarified like twice. It would drive me crazy at the time, but then after a few days, then that certain thought would kind of die down because she wasn't letting me get that clarification, so I wasn't letting that bully win. So she was a huge part in helping me cope with it. She showed me a lot of ways on how to cope with it and really how to, I guess the best way to say it is fight it off, because it is like kind of fighting yourself. And then also, of course, as I said before, the performing aspect really helped a lot too. If I'm ever sad, I'll just go into the studio and just choreograph a dance or something. I also write poetry. I've been writing since I was 10, writing poetry about what I'm feeling, and I draw about what I'm feeling a lot. So I use those as outlets, and those are kind of like my therapy.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
And you said earlier that you just started openly talking about this about a month ago. So up to that point, you and your mom and your support system have been kind of battling this alone.
Yes and no. The only other people that I told were like really close friends. Like I call her my sister. We're not biological sisters, but I have a extremely, extremely, extremely close friend who probably knows me as well as my mom, and she lives in England, and I've opened up to her about it a lot. Besides her, I've told some close friends about it. I never really go into too much depth just because they don't really understand it at all. But if I am having like a bad day, I'll reach out to them and just say like, "Hey, can you just say something nice to me, or can you just talk about something to kind of digress my thoughts?" But really, besides like my inner circle of close friends and family, I was never open to it publicly. Like I would never trust people with it because I was always afraid again of that stigma of being looked at differently or being thought about as crazy, or especially once I got into the industry, not being cast in things. And I didn't want people to identify me as the illness because I'm so much more than the illness. And that was the biggest thing that I had to kind of overcome when I did come out and say, "Hey, I have this." It was very difficult for me to open up on publicly about it. It's scary because there's that whole stigma behind it.
So have you had any issues since coming out as far as you're afraid of with the stigma of it, or has it been pretty well received?
Yeah, luckily nothing bad. The only things that I've gotten were messages about me being such an inspiration, which is fantastic because all I really want to do with my acting, my modeling, my performing in general is inspire people. So if I can inspire just one person, I've done my job right. And I've gotten so many messages saying that I'm such an inspiration for, having dealt with everything I've dealt with and still have just pushed forward and have been able to do movies and do TV shows and be on stage and model and everything. Because my whole life I've had my internal world beat me down, and it got to the point where I wasn't going to have my external world do the same thing. So I just decided to go at it full force and be the best that I can be.
Well, has your illness ever caused you to not be able to perform or not be able to take a job for modeling or TV or movies or anything like that? Has it ever negatively impacted your source of income or, your jobs?
Luckily, no, and that's because I won't let it. There's been several times, actually today included. I had a photo shoot just prior to this podcast, and there's been several times where I've had anxiety attacks or just have been having a bad day mentally before the either photo shoot or set or whatever, insert whatever here. And I've just been in the car almost having anxiety attacks saying, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. But then I kind of realized that this is what I have to do. And I'm not going to let something as stupid as a few little thoughts ruin it. I mean, it does take a lot of strength from within because obviously, like I said, you're kind of fighting yourself, but I want to be the best at what I do. And I'm not going to let something as silly as an irrational thought ruin that for me. So I really have gotten to the point where, yes, I may have an anxiety attack or I may not want to do it, but I push myself and I push myself past my limits a lot because I don't want to keep fueling that other fire. I want to only fuel the fire of my passion. So that's really, I take my anger and my frustration towards my own head and just use it to push me forward in my craft. And that's how I've been able to utilize it to help me.
And I think it's inspirational, especially I would assume to young women, not that young men wouldn't look up to it as well, but like you just said, I was getting ready for a photo shoot, and far maybe too often it's portrayed or young women might think, oh, she's in a photo shoot, her life must be absolutely perfect, nothing can be wrong. And little do they know that you're dealing with this, and maybe that will help somebody else that's struggling to also seek or go forwards.
Absolutely.
I think it's great that you're willing to come out and say, hey, I have these thoughts, I have these problems, and I'm still making it work.
Absolutely. And it really is a matter of a choice, and think to myself about, okay, so if I don't go to the shoot, then what am I accomplishing? I'm not accomplishing anything. I'm letting that other part win, basically. So I don't ever want to do that. And one of my many mottos is, do something every day that your future self will thank you for, and keep pushing every day. And if the thoughts ever do get loud, I just you got to push through them, because they're just not just with OCD, with any kind of anxiety disorder. They're really just feeding you lies.
Well, that's one of the other follow-ups I was going to ask is, so we know that you were diagnosed with OCD. Have we been or I shouldn't say we, because it's like I was there with you. Have you been diagnosed with any other conditions like anxiety or depression, and also had to deal with that on top of the OCD?
Absolutely. Well, OCD is a intense anxiety disorder as well. So OCD and anxiety kind of come hand in hand, but because of the thoughts, the intrusive thoughts and the obsessive thoughts, I have gone through many spurts of depression. So I have had to deal with that as well. And it's very frustrating being anxious and depressed at the same time, because you want to get up and do things because your anxiety is telling you to, but then your depression wants you to stay in bed all day, So it's that tug of war. So I have had my fair share of depressing thoughts as well. And then also at age 11, which is extremely young again, I threw anorexia because of my OCD. So, and that's when you perceive yourself as fat and you don't really eat. I mean, I lost so much weight in under a month. It was crazy.
Wow.
So I've definitely have dealt with a lot on my plate, and that's really why I wanted to come out about it and everything, because I wanted to show people that no matter what you're going through, if you have a dream and you have a passion, that don't let it stop you. Because I mean, I've honestly, I feel like I've been through hell and back, but I'm still, every day, I'm still working towards my goals, and I'm still trying to make a difference in not only my life, but also, again, I'm trying to inspire others. And I don't let it get the best of me. And that's really what I want to show people with this movie as well.
Since our podcast is generally directed or supposed to be directed more toward advanced practice providers, so we're working in family practice or any of the healthcare spectrum. So from somebody who is experiencing this affliction, if we have a patient who comes in who says, hey, I think I'm OCD, or hey, I think I have this extreme anxiety, what would you want as a quote unquote patient? What would you want us to try to do to facilitate that and to try to help you along?
It's a good question, actually.
Every once in a while, Jamie. Every once in a while, we have a good one.
I think one of the biggest things is just to listen is one of the biggest things, because I mean so many people, you know, now are so afraid to talk about it just because people don't really like listen. They don't take it as a serious thing. I mean, I've heard so many times in my life, oh, why can't you just stop thinking about that? Or like, oh, just let it go. And obviously, you know, if I could let it go, there wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
So I think it's, yeah, so I think it's, you know, really good to just be able to listen and know that that person's empathizing with you and understanding you. And besides that, just trying, really, it kind of is like a little bit of a trial and error, just trying things that can help. Like for me, I found that doing yoga has really helped. If I'm really anxious and I go and do a yoga session, I feel so much better after. So really just suggesting ways that could possibly help, whether it is medication based or whether it's holistic based or therapy based, just trying different things and seeing, you never really know what that magic bullet could be.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then in listening to you talk earlier, then you would obviously, I'm assuming, advocate to have a very strong support system as well.
Absolutely. That's another huge message in the movie is never suffer alone. Never be alone with this, because it's scary and it is a whole different world you're kind of dealing with. And I don't know, I couldn't imagine what I would have done if I didn't have my mother there to support me my whole life and help me through the rationalizing the thoughts and everything. So I'm definitely a huge advocate for talking about it. And I'm not saying do what I did and come out on social media and tell everyone about it, but you find a family member or a close friend that you can really confide in, and someone who's not going to judge you and someone who's not going to kind of just push you aside, but really listen and help you through it. I'm a very big believer in energies. So I feel like if you surround yourself with positive people who give off positive energy, then that's just very helpful to you.
Well, I found it interesting that you said, I don't know if I would came out on social media. And again, we joked earlier about I'm much older than you, but this is a true point. None of this existed for most people. I should say for most people. Nobody my age when we were 20 had this issue. There wasn't cell phones, or at least they weren't widely available. There certainly wasn't Facebook or any of that other. So when you say come out on social media, I think that's a unique issue that your generation is going to have to deal with, is the fact could have been a more private situation for anybody, because we didn't have 20,000 different social media outlets where if it gets out on one, it's out.
Yeah.
Once this gets out on Instagram or once this gets out on Facebook, it's a wildfire. Versus Ben and I, if we told one person, and as long as they didn't literally make a movie, and see where I'm coming back to, see what I just did there, Ben, making a movie.
Yeah.
As long as they didn't do something like that, we could keep this relatively private. And I think it's, in some ways, I think there's positives. In some ways, I think there's negatives for your guys' generation and us as providers, that we're going to have to learn to deal with not only the person having the condition, but now we're going to have to deal with their support system being partly electronic. There is going to be feedback, and part of mental health is dealing with these systems and feedback systems, etc., that we may not have any access to. And I think that's a whole new hurdle that your generation and us treating them are going to have to deal with.
Oh, absolutely. And I have quite a few thoughts on social media and how I think it can be detrimental if you use it the wrong way. You know, A lot of people jump the gun and think that coming out and saying that, oh, I feel so depressed, or oh, I'm feeling so anxious today. A lot of people, use that as an attention seeker,
Yeah.
which is they want that positive reinforcement from people, that instant gratification, which I don't think social media should be used for. But unfortunately, a lot of people use it for that. And kind of going back to what we talked about earlier about that, I'm going to these photo shoots and I'm doing these movies and my life looks so perfect. That's also another thing about social media that I think can be harmful, is that, social media is a very shallow platform. You just see what you want people to see.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what someone's dealing with on the other side of their phone screen. People are constantly comparing themselves to other people they don't even know via social media. And I think that can be very harmful to even people younger than me, especially people who've grown up just with cell phones and have grown up with that social media and that constant comparison and instant gratification. I think that could be very harmful.
Yeah, I certainly don't disagree. So, getting back to the movie briefly, Tom, since you segued so nicely into the movie.
Thank you. I have to be here for something, not just pretty face.
Well, yeah. Like you said earlier, so you're kind of currently in the writing process and looking at the budget and kind of fundraising for that. So do you have a hopeful timeline? Do you have a timeline on what you're thinking as far as getting things ready, or where are you kind of at with that?
I don't have a concrete timeline. Every day I'm making more progress, luckily, just because of reaching out to more people and being able to spread the word and everything. But I want to try to have it filming by next summer, by the summer of 2020.
Okay.
I just talked to my co-writer, the one who's actually writing the script, last night, and she is really buckling down the next 2 weeks. So I should have like a rough draft of the script within the next 2 weeks. And again, in the meantime, just trying to really get the word out about it and trying to get the donations on. I have a GoFundMe page for it. Every penny that I get on the GoFundMe is going directly to a crew, directly to locations, directly to camera equipment, directly to my actors. Everything's going to the film. So my biggest thing right now is really trying to get the budget so that I can make the best quality that I can. So if it takes a little bit longer than a year, then it does. But like my ideal goal would be to start production about, next May or June.
Okay. And so I'm not a big, obviously I've never been in a film or anything along those lines. So when you're looking at starting production in a perfect world in May or June of next year, then when are you looking at potentially releasing the film? I don't know the time frame between like production and filming to release.
Yeah, it varies depending how big your post-production crew is and how efficient they are and everything. I luckily, since I am in the industry as an actress, I know a lot of people who do editing and who do very well at editing. So I feel pretty confident that after it's done, I would hopefully have it ready within, a couple months. So again, if I am able to film it next summer, then hopefully have it out by, late fall, early winter of next year. To me, that even seems a little bit scary to think about because we are so still in the pre-production phase. But the pre-production is always the longest phase. My biggest goal right now, too, especially as a director, is trying to, once I have the script in my hands, would be to try to figure out the shots and exactly how I want each shot to look and start to actually put together like a visual board of what I want. So that way, when it comes to actual filming, we'll be able to go a lot smoother because everyone kind of knows exactly what I'm looking for.
So we're hopefully going to see something the end of 2020, maybe as late as beginning of 2021.
Yeah, hopefully. Definitely.
Well, we hope that you definitely would keep us in the loop on that because we would love to definitely check that out. And I know earlier you mentioned your GoFundMe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to make sure that we will drop the link in the show notes below. We'll also make sure that we get that out on all of our social media because we want, to, like Mike from Pop Psych 101, when we had him on, his big thing was mental health is health. And so that's kind of the mantra that I've kind of jumped on this month since it's our mental health awareness. And so clearly I think this is something that we being Tom and I certainly believe in this movie, and sounds like it's going to be really amazing once you get everything rolling.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I really hope to save lives with it. Honestly, that's my goal, is to save lives with it, and again try to open people's eyes and get rid of that stigma. Those are my big goals with it.
So, since I have never actually been to GoFundMe, is we're going to drop that link, but since you're on the air right now, how can people find you or find it to help contribute?
So I do have the GoFundMe, which is, www.gofundme.com/flip dash of dash a dash coin dash film. So it's flip of a coin film, but there's just dashes in between it. I don't know why the website did it that way. And then there's also the Facebook page, where if you just typed into the Facebook search bar flip of a coin, it would come up. And also, if you followed me on Facebook, I share a lot from that page as well. So you'd be able to find that page through my Facebook, which is, again, my name. So it's definitely out there. And then probably once I get some more hype about it, and once I start production, I'll make like an Instagram page for it. But that's looking far into the future.
Awesome. And Tom and I talked before we come on the air, and what we would like to do is challenge our listeners. We're going to throw this up on our page. We're going to throw this up on our social media. And of course, like I said, it'll be in the show notes as well. So what Tom and I have talked about, what we're going to do is, as the show Just Some Podcast, we will match any donations from any of our listeners. If they let us know that they donated to this GoFundMe, we'll match up to a total of $200.
Oh, wow.
So we want to challenge our listeners to go out and donate to this and get this movie funded so that we can get this out and hopefully help break some of the stigma and let people realize that the mental health is health.
Absolutely. And even if you yourself don't suffer from something, I'm sure that people who have suffered from it. So, I mean, I always say that this really isn't a film to me. It's a message. And that's how I want it to be perceived. I really wanted to hit home with a lot of people. And I've talked to a lot of people since I've started the GoFundMe who have told me that they lost whoever, or whether it's a friend or a relative, to suicide of mental disorder. And that's devastating to me. And even if you know someone who is going through that, this film can help them.
I definitely think it's going to be helpful, but I also want her to win an Oscar so I can be like, hey, I've talked to her before. And I'm just going to throw this out there, Jaimi. If you go to the Oscars, I'm just saying Ben and I clean up very well. All right. Just keep that in mind. All right. Because if I win the Nobel, I'll just throw this out. We can make an even trade. If I win the Nobel, I'll bring you. If you get into the Oscars, just don't forget me. That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
You guys can be my +2.
There you go.
There you go. So, yeah, right.
You know what the shit part is? 11 years from now, she's gonna be like, "Hey, I won an Oscar." I'm like, "No, Jaimi, we won an Oscar. Now, no, don't you forget. I got video. This is a legally binding contract somewhere. I'm sure of it." So
you're gonna have audio proof of it, so you can just show me the podcast and be like, "You promised."
Yes, I'll be like, "It's right here, Jaimi." You're like, "But I'm married with kids." I'm like, "No, Jaimi, no." Okay, so that's how this works. All right, so Ben,
that was some good thunder.
That was loud thunder. Wow.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's that's our.
It's still going.
That's our cue. So, Jaimi, at the end of our episodes with our guest, we like to do a little segment called 5 Questions. Well, you're into acting, so similar. I mean, kind of like Inside the Actor's Studio, but way different concept. He's trying to be in depth, and we're like, nah, this is just fucking funny. So, Ben is going to ask you 5 questions, and just give us the answer. And I'm mostly here just to make fun of the answers. So that's how this dynamic works.
Perfect.
All right. Yeah, he just said stupid. He just looked at me. He was like, "You're stupid."
I heard that. I heard that.
He was like, "You're stupid."
All right. Here's the music. Get the music queued up here.
Yeah, he's going to play his little theme music.
Join us on a journey into the inner psyche of our guest as we ask 5 questions. All right, 5 questions. So, Jaimi, question 1. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word is floof. FLOOF.
Floof.
Now,
Yes.
I'm going to need that in context or something then. What is floof?
I bet you it's got something to do with cream.
No, no, no. Like, if let's say you see a little fluffy dog, be like, "Oh my gosh, he's a little floof."
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
so that I think I know why, because we're old and that sounds like a slang term, like for like something.
I don't really think it is. I came up with that. I have seen people use the word, but I actually came up with it way before I ever saw it on the internet. And it was like in an art class, and I used the word floof. I don't know why, and I fell in love with it. So it has become my favorite word ever since.
Aw.
Floof. All right.
Little floof.
That's the type of dog my wife wants, is a floof.
It's a little floof.
All right. Question 2. Jamie, if you could do any job in the world other than what you currently do, what would it be?
This is so opposite of what I currently do. I would be a quantum physicist.
All right.
You are correct, ma'am.
I'm a huge
That's the opposite.
Yeah, I'm a huge science nerd. I love physics. I self-taught myself quantum physics. I love astronomy. I love chemistry. I love science. Let's say something happened and I couldn't act anymore. I would definitely go into science.
So then, this is not part of 5 questions. This is just a follow-up to that then. What was your thought on The Big Bang Theory then?
On the show?
Yeah, sorry, the show.
I've actually haven't watched the show.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I've met Mayim Bialik from the show.
Hey, so have I.
Yeah, she's awesome. I've met her, but I actually haven't seen her show.
Oh my gosh.
I need to.
We're playing like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, except I know Jamie now. Like through my See how that works? Oh.
Question 3. Jamie, think back to your first car. Was it a stylish ride? No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, she's 20. She's probably still in her first car. So
I am actually.
Oh, okay. So this question is usually intended for someone that's like on their 5th car, Jamie. So just roll with it. All right. So Ben, start over.
Okay.
Let's go ahead. Now that we prefaced it, let's give.
All right. Think back to your first car that you're currently driving. Is it a stylish ride or a rolling turd?
Well, okay, let me clarify this a little bit. Do you mean my first car ever, or do you mean my first car that I own?
First car ever.
Oh, okay, then that's different.
Okay.
Because I was driving my mom's car when I first got my license. So what was she even driving at the time? I think she was driving a Mercedes actually. That is not my dad's car. And I liked how it drove. It was just kind of clunky, a little bit clunky.
A little clunky.
Yeah, but other than that, it was very nice. I have my dream car now though, which is a Mustang. I love my Mustang.
Well, me and you will talk off the air then here in a second about that. I find it funny. She was like, it was a Mercedes. It was a little clunky. And I'm thinking, yeah, I had like a 91 Chevy Corsica with the paint chipping off. I was like, like that was my first car. So
my first car was a Mustang, Tom.
Yeah, well.
Oh, there we go. Mustang buddies.
Yeah, well, both of you. Well, I own one now, but I still think you both suck for. All right, Ben.
All right. Question 4, Jamie. If your house is on fire, everyone, including your pets, are all safe. What's the one thing that you want to get out of your house?
Ooh, good question. Okay, so my pets and my family's safe.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know. Maybe I'll go the nostalgic route.
Okay.
No, but oh man, this is a hard question. I like this question. I like questions that make me think.
Good.
Oh gosh. Only save one thing. Honestly, I would probably I'm not gonna go the nostalgic route. I changed that. I would probably save my dance bag. It has a bunch of very valuable things in there.
Okay.
And my shoes are all fitted for me, so I know that they're my shoes and they're quality. And I also have like my exercise bands in my dance bag and everything that I need. So I would save my dance bag.
How the hell big is this dance bag? It's good.
It's a nice size dance bag. It has like 20 pairs of shoes in it for all the different styles of dance I do.
All right.
I know the biggest bag I ever owned was when I played ice hockey. That thing, I could literally get in it and zip myself up and have room. That's how big it was. So,
Oh my
yeah. So I'm like,
gosh.
some of these bags, man, can get pretty effing big. All right.
Apparently so.
Oh yeah.
All right, last question, question 5. So, Jamie, you have $9.18 in your pocket. What all do you buy?
You're asking some good questions.
That's what we're here for, Jamie.
Yeah. Okay, question for the question. Do I have basic things like food and all that?
Jamie, don't overthink this. You got $9.18 in your pocket. What do you do?
Let's say you go to a convenience store or whatever. You got $9.18. What do you buy?
So I also want to point out, I just told the person who just got done for an hour telling us how she has obsessive thinking to stop obsessive thinking and just buy something. I literally just did that. So I just want to point that out to everybody listening to this.
Thanks, Tom.
And you're also asking someone who I told you I couldn't make a decision for my life.
Yeah.
And now I'm being asked, like, what would I buy with $9.18?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Just have fun with it. Just go with it, Jamie. Just let it roll.
I mean, I probably couldn't afford a pet with that. I would say I would get a pet.
If you could buy a pet with $9, here's some life advice, Jamie. Don't buy it. Okay. don't buy anything for $9 off the street from somebody saying it's a really good pet. No, don't do that. Okay.
Okay, let's say this then. So, do you stop at a convenience store? What would you buy? Like, what's your go-to? Like when you stop at the store?
Decisions. This, I'm not gonna lie, this might take like another hour of the podcast.
Well, that's what I'm here for, Jamie, to prod this along. So let's say
Yeah. Narrow this topic down.
Yeah, okay, so we'll help. So is there like speedways next to you, Circle K's? Like what's
Oh yeah, there's a Circle K.
Okay, so let's say you're driving home, you get your gas, you walk into Circle K, you got $9.18 in your pocket. What do you buy? Do you have like a snack? Or since you're a dancer, are you like, no, I'm health conscious. I only want fat-free water. I don't know. What are you going to get?
I would definitely buy a tea.
Okay.
And I probably would get a protein bar.
All right.
And that's it? You still got like $2.07 left.
Don't.
Okay, then
Tom's an asshole.
What else do they have at gas stations? They have like those cute little stuffed animals sometimes, but I'm sure there's more than $2.
I'm starting to notice a pattern. She wanted to buy a live animal for $9. Now she wants to buy a fake one for $2. Like what?
I love animals. I told you guys this at the beginning.
You absolutely did. I just wow. Okay, so that's your thing. All right. I'm gonna find.
I think that's a great answer.
Yeah. All right.
Water and protein bar. Yeah.
No, she said tea. You're not even paying attention, Ben. Do you have a favorite tea?
Tea.
Because I noticed my wife has developed a taste for a specific tea, and until they pay me sponsorship money, no, I'm not saying it, but she does. Like now, it's specific. I bought her the wrong tea one day, and she was like, "I'll drink this, but this is not it." I was like, "Oh shit, well, I got to deal with that now." So, do you have a specific go-to tea?
It really, I love, there's so many teas I love, but there is this one tea that I know gas stations have, and it's called, oh gosh, it's a Fuji apple kind of tea.
Okay.
It almost tastes kind of like apple juice, but you still taste like the tea in it. So it's like almost like a bittersweet kind of vibe, and it's just so good.
Well, there you go. So I don't know who you are, people, but if you want us to connect you to a famous actress, start sponsoring the show, Fuji Apple Tea. So,
Yes.
But no, I thought I had a blast. That to me was funny. I know for you that must have been agonizing, but I was laughing so hard you probably couldn't hear. I had it muted for a minute. Like listening to you agonize over that. I was like, why is she so worried about a dumb question on a podcast? But I guess that's what we're here for, right?
I'm a very honest person. I want to give honest answers.
No, I liked it.
Well, and Tom's kind of an asshole.
Thank you.
I am kind of an asshole.
It's all right. We all can be.
See, Jamie's okay with it, Ben.
So. All right, fine. All right. So that wraps up 5 questions. So if you like what you have heard, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or at www.justsomepodcast.com.
And you can find me too.
Yep, where can they find you at?
Facebook at my name, JAIMI MCPEEK. or Instagram at JAIMIXOXOXO.
And then your website is
Yeah, JaimiMcPeek.com. So my name again, JAIMIMCPEEK.
all right. Well, Jaimi, I think it has been
Yeah.
great having you on the show. I mean, you're like, this world famous actress, and you took time out of your crazy busy day to talk to my dumbass and Tom's dumbass. So we appreciate that.
We do really appreciate it.
No, it was my absolute pleasure.
Well, I mean, I am a pretty awesome guy, so I mean, it was pretty lucky for you to get to know me and by extension Ben. I'm kidding, Jesus Christ. I can't even say the rest of that without laughing. But no, Jaimi, I had a blast. It was a pleasure talking to you. I really absolutely enjoyed all of it.
Thank you. Yeah, same to you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yep. So the movie Flip of a Coin, like I said, we will drop the GoFundMe in our show notes and on our social media. And we did issue that challenge, so we will match donations up to a total of $200 from any of our listeners who are going to donate to this movie and help break the stigma, and mental health is health. So on that note, Tom, we're going to wrap up Mental Health Month next week with psychiatric nurse practitioner. So that's going to be kind of cool.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a good conversation as well. So, Tom, I think let's wrap this up. I hope everybody has a great week.
Hey, everybody, stay safe out there.